cinema display. And guess what? The stand is included. It's not $1,000. Good times. This will go to the G5. Whoa. Whoa! Hey guys, how are you all doing? Really? That's just great. You know, I'm doing pretty great today too, because, well, it may be a little bit obvious right now. This thing is sitting right in front of me. I decided to take the liberty, hopefully the guards don't know, to do a little project for myself. A generous viewer donated this Power Mac G5 to me, so thank you very much. Online, they go by the name Bubble Wrap Person, and yeah, bubble wrap indeed. This thing was wrapped like crazy, man. It was really well shipped, really well protected, so thank you, Bubble Wrap Person. You definitely lived up to your name. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a look at this beauty from the outside and on the inside. Then we're gonna boot it up and see what's on here or what's not on here, and depending on that outcome, we may need to do some sort of installation sensation. Does that sound good to you? Because it sounds good to me. But wait, there's a little bit more. I'll be back in a sec. They also donated a frickin' cinema display. Oh, let's move you over. Heavy boy. Oh, my hand still kind of hurts from, I just hurt my finger. It's hard to squeeze things. Yeah, so it's a little hard to fit everything here because everything is so, big. There we go. Oh yeah, I should probably start working out some more. Look at that beauty. 20-inch cinema display. DVI, Firewire, USB with the touch controls on the side, the hub on the back. I've never had a G5 or any cheese grater computer in my collection before. Well, actually, scratch that. I've had a G5 just super recently. It was an iMac G5. What I meant was I never had a Power Mac G5 in my collection before. So that is pretty sweet. And definitely never a cinema display as well. Man, just look at these things. These things are what, approximately 15 years old? You know, 2003 and a little bit after 2003 for this guy. And they still look like they'd fit in today. I bet you. 99% of other computer design companies, like, oh my gosh, if you looked at their shit from 15 years ago, it would look like garbage next to a modern day system. But Apple's stuff from over 15 years ago, 2003, you put this in a room next to other computers from today, it looks totally fine. It looks kind of futuristic. That's something that I think Apple always did a good job at. So, all right, enough gab. Let's explore the system from the outside and the inside. And yes, we'll get back to you, beautiful cinema display, once we actually need to boot the computer up and do stuff. Go on, go. That's as far as you're gonna go? Okay, whatever. So we have the super convenient handles on top. Apple always like to put handles on their things, which I love. And we have the feet on the bottom, which help keep the computer off the surface for airflow. And this beautiful mesh, which lets air come in. This is the intake, and on the back you'll see later is all the exhaust. And then right here we have this mysterious thing. No, wait, it's a power button. Just kidding. I need to entertain myself somehow. Fun. Headphone jack, very nice. USB and Firewire 400. And then on top here, behind this slidey thing, is the optical drive. If we turn it around, on the back, you can see we have the exhaust fans, we have a lot of I/O over here, and we have expansion slots here. We have the lock to get on the inside, which we'll take a look at in a bit. Looks like we have DVI and Apple display connector, modem, Ethernet, Firewire 800, Firewire 400. So now we're gonna have some fun on the inside. Because it's what's on the inside that counts, which is not fully true when it comes to computers. I don't care how fast the computer is, if it looks like a piece of shit, I really don't want to be using it. Thankfully, this thing does not look like a piece of shit. So, we'll flip that lock. And, kind of doing this backward here. There we go, here's the panel. Here we go. Bong, there we go, okay. This panel is really heavy duty, that is a dense panel. Look at that. the enclosure on here. Let's remove that. This is something they did away with the Mac Pro, if I recall correctly, which Brainiac Brent and I believe Maniac Mike also just got. They both got Mac Pros. We actually have an episode about one of those, so check that out as well. But yes, so this, I would imagine, helps with airflow. G5 reactor cores for that uranium. Just kidding, it's a heatsink thing. Not as exciting. No, it's good. These are pretty. G5s, just to remind you that you have a G5. And a blue motherboard in there, or excuse me, a logic board. The blue logic board looks pretty cool. This whole thing freaking looks awesome, dude. This is quite a modular thing. Holy balls. Just, there's the fan. We just took those out. It's a good thing they're bringing modularity back to the Mac with the new Mac Pro, which I also did an episode about. Cool. Optical drive, hard drive. Looks like we have some RAM hiding way in the depths of the shadows. I don't know the full specs of this thing, but we're going to find out together. So let's put this guy back on, which it looks like the door has the hieroglyphs for removing the fans and stuff like that to get on the inside. Very nice. This thing is solid. Dude, that would look pretty just up on a wall somewhere. Shit. Ow. I almost I almost sliced my freaking arm open. Line it up. Push it back. Close it up. Piece of cake to open and close these things. All right, let's connect the cinema display. We need a mouse and keyboard as well. I'm gonna have to borrow those from something else. Let's boot it up. Let's see what's on here. What are we waiting for? Let's go. Let's go. I don't have a, I need this. Hang on. Oh, bon appetit. The power supply for the cinema display. Yes, the cinema display had an external power brick. 65 watts, so no big deal. You do what you gotta do. All right, now let's hook it all up. Okay, cinema display with the beautiful counterbalance. And guess what? The stand is included. It's not $1,000. Good times. We have some power cords here. Yeah. Cool. This one has a little rectangular cap on the end, so it must fit into this. Could it really be that simple? The secret lies with Charlotte. Boom. That was easy. Take off the hook and loop. Actually, I probably didn't need to do that. I probably could have left the hook and loop on there. At least, you know, now I could put it back on. Because I don't really need much slack on these cables. I just need enough slack to get them to the computer. So this guy will go into the power supply. The Firewire 400, because again, there's a Firewire and USB hub on the back of the display. This will just go into the Firewire port on the back of the G5. USB port, same sort of situation, just on the back of the G5. And then we have DVI, which we kind of need to get a picture. So let's plug that in. Well, that's nice. So keyboard and mouse is next. And I'm thinking we'll just plug them into the hub on the back here. We'll just daisy chain this stuff. Okay, well, I think that's everything. The side is coming off. It's separating from the aluminum just a little bit. There's no power for anything, the display or the computer. Mainly because this is sitting right here. Yes, I am clearly an idiot. But what did you expect? My name is Krazy, with a K. This will go to the G5. Whoa. Whoa! Okay, I'm gonna do an emergency power down. Holy f***. I think something's broken. I don't smell any smoke. Like, I heard it making some noise and I thought it was just powering up. You know, after not being turned on in a long time, but then... Oh. Boom. Okay. Okay, so I really don't know what happened there. I don't know if the cord was faulty or if it's something with the computer. So I'm gonna contact the person who sent this to me and see if there are any issues. It looks like there's some shielding sticking out of the back. It doesn't look like it was touching... It looks like it's touching plastic, but it might have touched onto a little bit of metal. Okay, so right there, it looks like that's some shielding, which I don't know how it even got there, because when you open up the computer, that's not a part that, at least by default, is very accessible. You'd have to do some tinkering to open that part up. So yeah, not sure what happened there. I'm really not an electrician, so I don't know fully what I'm saying, but it looks like there's some metal that could be touching metal where it shouldn't be touching metal. I don't smell anything, but let's open this thing up now that the power is completely turned off. That is a first. I've done over 100 of these episodes. Never had something like that happen. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I didn't think I would see much because the power supply is in there. But yeah, I don't really want to plug this thing in again. Okay, I'm gonna do a little research. I'm gonna talk to the owner. All right, I'm gonna hit the pause button right there because this is where things just get from bad to quirky. But we maybe found some stuff out. I took some time to contact my buddies at MacYak. These guys are way smarter than me. I was talking with Greg, the host of the MacYak show, and Jay primarily. Jay asks me what model Power Mac is it, and to be honest, I had no idea. I didn't boot it up, I didn't look at the system profiler, nothing. So I went back to the photos that the donor sent me. These photos show that the computer was working just fine, but I go to the system information and I tell that to Jay. He says, "Oh, you have a liquid-cooled one." And I had to change my pants. I had no idea that this was a liquid-cooled system. The joke I made earlier about the reactors inside this computer, I was actually not very far off. What we're dealing with is kind of similar, you know, radioactivity and everything else aside. So Jay gives me basic instructions on how to access the pumps. I take off the covers and boom, lo and behold, there are pumps. There's pipes, there's coolant. There's coolant. Yeah, there's coolant where there shouldn't be coolant. Something is dripping, something is leaking, and thanks to Apple's amazing engineering, the power supply is located right below where the liquid is. Why? I don't know. Upon this discovery, I was surprised, and I was thinking, well, this liquid might be non-conductive, right? I mean, that's not super uncommon. Wrong! Yeah, apparently wrong. I didn't know any better. Greg Rutke from Rutke Mods, he's also on the MacYak show, by the way, reminded me of something really important. This was one of the first, if not the first, commercially available personal computers to ship with liquid cooling built in. So I guess that means not all the kinks were worked out. The coolant in this thing is GM DexCool. This stuff is corrosive and conductive. So if it did leak out, which it looks like it did, and got into the power supply, that is what caused the short. Another theory was that I blew a cap. Possibly. Again, I'm not an electrical guy, I'm not really too into that, but I think I would have smelled that if a capacitor exploded. I didn't smell anything. The sound I heard was an arc. I didn't mention this earlier, but there was a flash. I could see a flash in the power inlet. Right when the flash happened is when I heard the sound. So that popping noise was an electrical arc, not a capacitor blowing. So I think we can put that theory aside. So now we're dealing with this. There's liquid. Jay wanted to make sure it actually was coolant liquid. I dabbed some up, and the properties resembled that of coolant, not of typical water, where it would just dissolve up pretty easily into a napkin and evaporate on the surface of metal pretty quickly. It's remaining there. It's like smearing kind of, and it felt kind of oily. I noticed there was some liquid even on the foot of the computer, and it felt oily. It did not feel like water. But to add to the complexity, because this wasn't already up enough, I go back to my emails from the donor and recall that this thing was in a water sprinkler accident. What the shit? Seriously. So now that was mixed into the equation, but thankfully, I think it's fair to say we can quickly remove that from the equation, judging by the fact that the donor sent me photos of the computer working. So whatever incident it was in earlier, that issue must have been rectified. This liquid is not water from the sprinkler incident or from poor storage or any of that stuff. It is from the cooling system. So now we're stuck with the power supply that likely has liquid in it, so the computer is inoperable. Could it be fixed? Potentially, yes. The power supplies of these things are kind of a bitch to remove, and I don't want to futz with it, nor do I want to ship this out to get it repaired, because one, it's expensive, but two, it's probably going to get damaged even worse. Even if it got fixed, it would still have to be shipped back. My theory is, during the shipping, even though this thing was packed brilliantly, it still got jostled around, and there was a leak. I'm open to suggestions. I'm open to ideas of where I can maybe find someone to fix this locally, but to be honest, I don't know if it's worth the hassle right now. So that was my discovery. Thank you, MacYak guys, for helping me through this. Oh yeah, and there was this warning that I totally missed the first time on the inside that says, if you see liquid, turn off the computer, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, I didn't see that before. I don't know, maybe it was covered up by something. Gotta read. Let's get back to the tech video log. I'm gonna leave this the way it is, but perhaps we can get back to it later. So let's keep the hopes high. Thanks for sticking with me. Catch the Krazy and pass it on.